Welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show where we talk about movies and some other random stuff along the way, but nevertheless, it's a great time. It's Sunday night and the feeling is just right. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for joining me on this magical and mystical night once again, where we can talk about movies, life, our feelings, and much, much more, including the main topic of today, which is going to be the brand new Steven Spielberg movie, Disclosure Day. And boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to say about Disclosure Day. And then immediately following this live show, I will be laying in my underwear in my bed watching the fight taking place in front of the White House. Did you hear what I just said? There's a UFC fight taking place in front of the White House tonight. I'm just so curious on how that's going to work out. I can't wait to check it out. But anyway, how are you guys doing? I see a lot of you are joining me already. You guys make me feel so warm and tingly inside. I just love it. We got James Doshier in here who says, "Hello, John. I thought Disclosure Day was a mess of a movie and mostly pretty bad." Well, I might share your same sentiments. And we have a lot to talk about tonight. So if you guys have any topics, questions, suggestions, get those in right now, and we will talk about each and every single one of those glorious things at some point later in this live show. But what do you say? We just dive into the main topic of today. And the main topic of this live show is, so I watched the brand new Steven Spielberg movie, Disclosure Day. Now, going into this movie, I was really hoping, needing, and craving that magical cinematic experience from one of the best directors, arguably maybe the best director of all time, Steven Spielberg. The man who's given us movies like Jurassic Park, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Jaws, E.T., and the list goes on and on. One of my personal underrated favorites of all time is Catch Me If You Can, which I really enjoy. I kind of feel like watching it right now, just talking about it. But going into this film, I thought the concept of humanity being told aliens finally exist just sounded fascinating. That concept just lends itself to a summer blockbuster spectacle. And then I watched the movie. And it was the most underwhelming two and a half hours of my life. And with each progressing moment, I thought to myself, wow, this just isn't getting any better. I was hoping for a profound blockbuster experience as I ate my popcorn and chewed on my Sour Patch Kids. But no. We didn't get that. Now, if you haven't seen Disclosure Day, I am going to dive into spoilers. But ultimately, I wouldn't recommend watching this movie. And for the most part, if you actually pay close attention to the trailers, they sort of show you the climax of the movie within the trailers. So there's not really much to spoil. There's really not much to this movie when you just break it down. And with all that said, 3, 2, 1... let's talk about Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. And by the way, I was not a big fan of Fabelmans, and I did not watch the West Side Story musical. I didn't feel the need to explore that movie. But once again, I do love me some Steven Spielberg. All right. So the first question I have to ask, and I'm just throwing this out into the universe, and hopefully Steven Spielberg is watching my live show right now because I know he typically does. And Steven, if you're watching, my biggest question to you is, does the internet not exist in the universe that this movie takes place in? Does no one know what the internet is? Does TikTok not exist? Does social media not exist? Can people simply just not upload content to the internet instantaneously, putting it out into the universe? Or do they have to run around for 2 days with SD cards that just look comical with the way how large they are to upload some clips to alien found footage that's been around for the last 50 years at a news station? Why did the character do this? You take your phone and you go, oh, here's those clips I wanted to upload and everyone's trying to kill me over. And go TikTok. Oh, there it is. Hey, more people actually watch TikTok lives than they do the news. So I don't know what the need or urgency was with running around to a news station to upload some SD footage from a SIM card. I don't know why we had to do all of this. But, you know, that's the least of my concerns when it comes to Disclosure Day. Let's just talk about the aliens in this movie. Let's just get this out of the way. There are aliens in Disclosure Day. Yes, Disclosure Day is disclosing that aliens have been around for the last 50 to 60 years. They crash landed in Roswell, New Mexico back in the late 1940s. And it's sort of the same cliche trope you've been hearing in cinema for the last 40 or 50 years. That's always been the main conspiracy theory. Yeah, aliens crash landed in Roswell in Area 51. Okay, this isn't news. This isn't anything profound. And speaking of profound, this movie does not ask a profound question, nor does it give a profound answer to anything. But what you get in this film, when it comes to the aliens and the Disclosure Day, you get a multitude of clips that feel like they go on for 10 minutes of found footage of crash sites where aliens are just laying beside the spaceship like this. That's it. Just a series of that. That's it. You don't get this like in-depth intellectual conversation that's going back and forth with humanity having this mind-blowing conversation with this alien race. Where do you come from? What is your point? Why are you here? We get none of that. We just get crash site footage of aliens just laying around on tables, and they're little green men. Yeah, the same thing you saw in Twilight in 1957. The aliens in this movie are little green men. So that leads me to my next question, Steven, if you are watching, and I know he's watching right now. I just know Steven Spielberg is watching right now. Why was he compelled to tell this story and make this movie? What did he have to say by making this film? Now, over the last couple of years, if you've been scrolling on TikTok or the news, we have been inundated with UAPs. The government has officially stated that UAPs exist, these little flying dots in the sky, and we cannot identify what they are. Now, if you ask me, I just think it's a technologically advanced drone that we haven't quite figured out yet, or maybe it's a distraction away from the Epstein files. Call me crazy. But it doesn't really feel like people care that much. Okay, aliens might exist. Tell me more. Do I still have to pay my taxes tomorrow? Do I still have to wake up at 7 o'clock and go to work? If so, I don't give a shit. But let's keep going. I still think UAPs are fascinating, and personally speaking, I do think aliens exist. Statistically speaking, with the billions of stars and galaxies that never seem to end and the vastness of this void that we call the universe, technically speaking or statistically speaking, another life form has got to exist. It's probably a planet of squids that are smarter than us that can float around or something. I don't know. Who knows what aliens really are? But anyway, let's keep going. Speaking of the aliens in this film, at first, the aliens show up in the form of terribly CGI'd creatures. You have a fox that looks like he's from a Pixar movie. And then you have a deer that looks like CGI from 2002. And that is how aliens present themselves to us so we can best understand them. But then later on in the movie, they're just little green men. So I guess watching a fox is less terrifying than like a little green guy who's 4'2" with a big green head. They basically look like cucumbers that took steroids. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it was a bit underwhelming. And that's how the majority of this movie felt to me, underwhelming. Because for the first 2 acts of this film, it keeps asking you the question, do aliens exist? Okay, what's going to happen on Disclosure Day when I release this information? Because you have the main character, and he's essentially a whistleblower who has this footage, and he's escaping from this secret agency who wants to suppress the truth. It's just a group of cliche, generic, surface level bad guys who, at the very end of the movie, just have some kind of act of bipolarness and just change their mind and go, you know what? We've been chasing you for 2 days, trying to kill you. You know what, man? We're cool with this. Just go ahead and release that footage. We don't care anymore. All right, see ya. Bye. Okay, that was a waste of time. But beyond all of that, the best part of this film is easily Emily Blunt. I like me some Emily Blunt, and she was what carried this entire movie. Because when you slowly realize that the concept isn't going to deliver, the filmmaking from Spielberg, though it feels competent at times, at other times it just feels like mediocre Spielberg. And what I mean by that is there are a multitude of scenes where it's just bad filmmaking, like a lack of logic that sort of takes you out of the movie. And this might be nitpicking, but you know, when I watch a $200 million Spielberg movie, I think to myself, why are you putting this dumb shit in your movie? How did no one look at that and go, that's not that entertaining and that doesn't make a lot of sense? For example, there's a scene where the main character played by Josh O'Connor is sneaking through this field. He's escaping this farmhouse where he was hiding with his crazy girlfriend, lady friend, who, by the way, we're going to talk about her in just 1 second, because there's this very forced religious subplot that literally goes nowhere, that was so tacked in, it felt like it was just some rewrite that they pasted into the script the day of, and they were like, well, what do we do with this? I don't know, just nothing. But Spielberg had to get his profound religious thoughts out, which weren't very profound and very surface level. But anyway, we'll get there. But anyway, the character is sneaking through this field, and he's sneaking up behind 25 agents, highly trained agents. They got automatic machine guns. They're there with their squad cars, and he is in plain sight of all of them. It's like a cartoon. He's just in this open field running behind them, and they just don't see him somehow. And he sneaks up behind them, and he steals one of their cars and drives away. And it was just little things like that took me out of the movie. I was like, come on, you can't just be a little more clever than this. And there's also another scene where they sort of do the same thing, where the characters get out of that car and the agents pull up 3 seconds after them, and the characters are 10 feet away from the car that they just abandoned behind a rock going, oh, we got away. They don't see us. And these agents are literally like, you could reach out and touch them. And I'm just like, what is this? How did they even get out of this situation? And then it just cuts to the next scene. But now let's go back to that religious subplot in this film, which was just awful, just completely awful. Because you think the argument or the debate, if extraterrestrials were in fact real, and we knew for a fact they had visited Earth, what would that do to everyone's faith? It would put it in question. And that's a really interesting concept to me. But unfortunately, the movie sort of asks the question on a very surface level approach. And then after it asks the question, it doesn't really pick a side. And then there's a slight argument between the characters, and then it's over. And then in the next scene, it's like it never happened. And by the way, Josh O'Connor's girlfriend in this movie just so happened to be a nun for many years, and she randomly tells him this on some rainy day because it's convenient to the plot. And once again, it felt so tacked into the movie. Like someone wrote it with crayon and then just like stapled it halfway into the script and said, let's do this scene. It feels like it was written by a child. It feels like it was written by ChatGPT, but one of the earlier versions of the software that wasn't quite that in tune with like what real people would actually do in a situation. So I thought that was really distracting, and I thought that was such a waste of time, and I thought that was a complete cop-out by Spielberg and the screenwriter of this film. Like, you ask this really profound question and you do nothing with it? Just hated it. But anyway, back to Emily Blunt. By far the best character in this film. Now, when it comes to her character, by the end of the film, we learn that in 1996, when she was a small child, she was in fact potentially probed by aliens. Now, maybe she wasn't technically probed, but aliens did visit her in one form or another. And that alien was sort of like a deer. So I don't know. If a deer came to me and was like laying over my bed at night looking at me, I think that would be the most horrific thing in my entire life. But anyway, I say all of that because there is a group of good guys working behind the scenes who used to work for this evil agency, but all abandoned said agency and somehow all got jobs at the exact same time working for the good guy agency. And I know what I'm saying sounds completely stupid and dumb, but that's really the plot of the movie. And somehow this technologically AI-driven evil agency just has no clue that 25 of their employees all randomly left at the exact same time, starting another agency that's their only goal is the complete opposite, and that is to disclose the truth. And they're very, very well organized, but for some odd reason, this other agency just can't keep tabs on them. It's like, I'm sure if you just followed that random guy who used to work for you, you could probably figure out what's going on because they spend the entire movie trying to figure out what's going on, but they just can't put two and two together. Everyone's just so stupid for the convenience of the plot. But anyway, the good guy agency rents a large warehouse where they reconstruct Emily Blunt's childhood home. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear how convoluted this shit's already getting? They literally construct her childhood home, and the movie shows you clips of them constructing this thing throughout the entire runtime of the movie. And during the big unveil, where she enters this warehouse, they're like, "This is your childhood home. Come inside." And she's like, "Why did you build this?" And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why did you build this? And they're like, "So you could remember." Okay. And it was all for her to remember that she was visited by aliens when she was a child. What? That's what? I think the easier route would have been, hey, just think back to during your childhood youth years. Remember that time that giant deer woke you up at night? Yeah, that shit was an alien. But anyway, she essentially has the power of likability and being the most intuitive woman on the planet. She knows everything about everyone and tells them. And as soon as she tells them everything about themselves, they just look at her and they go, "Okay, you can do whatever you want now." And I think if someone told me all that information about myself, I would just go, "Okay, you stalked my social media, but you still can't go into this top secret facility." But no, that's how stupid everyone is in this movie. Now, had this movie come out in maybe 1995, maybe it would have felt fresh and new. Maybe the disclosure of aliens would have been mind-boggling. But I just feel like by this point, this movie is past due. This movie has nothing new to say, and it actually has nothing to say whatsoever. And there's really no purpose to the film other than saying, yeah, aliens exist and they're little green guys. And that is it. There's no more depth. There's no more exploring what the aliens are or what their purpose is. They're just there. And we spend 2 hours with two characters going from point A to point B to point C, being followed by the bad guys who just randomly change their mind at the very end of the movie. So ultimately, Disclosure Day was a pointless movie that went nowhere, and I found it utterly boring. That's Disclosure Day. Let's see if I had anything else to say about this. Oh yes, if you've seen the movie, or if you've seen the trailers, the clip where you see Josh O'Connor in a giant cornfield where signs are being created underneath him, like some kind of magical phenomenon. I don't know why that happened in the movie. I don't know if they technically explained it. I think it was just a cool shot for the trailer. And speaking of that, and speaking of signs in a cornfield, this movie, the best way to describe it is, it feels like an abandoned M. Night Shyamalan screenplay that he never made, and Spielberg found it in a trash can somewhere and said, "Let's make this." And he did. And it sort of feels like the Spielberg version of The Happening. And I don't think there's a better way to put it. But at least that movie was unintentionally hilarious at times. Hey, why don't you take an interest in science or something? Hey, why don't you take an interest in aliens or something? Oh, man. So, Little Green Men, there's nothing really mind-blowing about the movie. You don't get answers. There's no deeper meaning, no explanation. Emily Blunt was good in the movie. Now, here are my final flicking thoughts on Disclosure Day. And leave yours down below because I would love to know what you thought about this movie if you've seen it. I could not believe Steven Spielberg wasted his time or talent on this movie. I don't know why this is the story he wanted to tell. Now, the conspiracy theorist inside of me says, well, maybe the government reached out to him, and this movie was essentially just one big soft punch to humanity saying, you know what, let's warm them up to the concept that aliens might exist. And let's make the aliens in this movie those cliche little green men everyone expects to see. Because their mind can't just handle what real aliens are. At some point, we will disclose that, but not today. This is sort of easing us into what they could be. This is just a little bit of lubrication before they penetrate us with the truth. That could be the only reason this movie is made and how surface level it is. It's basically mashed potatoes. That's what this film is. So anyway, I did not like Disclosure Day. The more I think about this movie, the more I dislike it. I would probably give Disclosure Day a D for Disclosure Day. Okay, I'm going to go watch a better Steven Spielberg movie now and leave your thoughts down below. Okay, so those are my thoughts on Disclosure Day, guys. I just want to know what you guys think about the movie. That made me really dehydrated. What a mess. What a mess. Let me take these glasses off. All right, guys. Let's see. We got, you guys are killing it with the questions already. Hoo-ah, that movie was terrible. We got Murph MM in here who says, if Steven is watching, why is your adopted daughter in Corn? That's a great question. The aliens wanted to look like bad CGI animals. Yeah, they wanted to look like Pixar characters. Like, I think the aliens should have just looked like Buzz Lightyear and Woody. That would have been far more fascinating if you're going to pick some CGI Pixar characters. I don't want, a little shitty fox and a deer that looks like it belongs in a Budweiser Christmas commercial. Spielberg should have used whatever power he has to make Player 2. That's the only decent flick he's made in 4 decades. And I think saying Ready Player One as being a decent movie is a stretch. Listen, if that's a movie you enjoy, by all means, I get it, man. It's cool to see the DeLorean and a whole bunch of pulp culture stuff in live action. There's a little bit of fun to be had with that movie, but ultimately, that sort of feels like a surface level movie. And everyone that I know who's read the novel much prefers the novel over the live action adaptation, which is just crazy. Like, what's going on with Steven Spielberg, man? He just cannot make a spectacle anymore. Everything feels so flat and digitized. Hey, John, what's up? Hey, not much, man. Just hanging out on Sunday night with all you beautiful bastards. How are you guys doing? All right. Patrick says, yeah, Disclosure Day sucked. The bads have alien tech, but are completely incompetent. Laugh aloud. Also, nothing new to say about aliens or UFOs. Absolutely. Luke Ski Skywalker says, but I have to praise the film's cinematography, which was taken by Hannes Kaminsky. It's a shame they used poor CGI effects on his shorts. Yeah, listen, some of the cinematography looked pretty good. I don't really have a lot of complaints with some of the bigger shots or, overall the way that the movie was more or less shot. But yeah, it has lackluster CGI. And one thing to add about this movie is every 30, 45 minutes, it feels like there's this very shoehorned in action sequence because it's like script writing 101. Okay, we know general audiences are coming to see this movie. We got to throw an action scene in here to entertain everybody. And that's just what it feels like. It feels like you go through this series of instantly forgettable action scenes. For example, there's a train scene in this film, which sort of starts out kind of cool, where the bad guys are pushing their car into this oncoming train and they're pushing the brakes. And then all of a sudden the car gets jammed up against the train. It's sliding down the tracks. There's sparks shooting out. But then after like 3 seconds of looking at it, you're like, that just looks like a shitty CGI action scene and nothing looks real at this point. And then all of a sudden, Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor turn into like action heroes from Speed, where she's dangling on the side of this train holding on to him. And keep in mind, Emily Blunt's this 95-pound newscaster who has no like athletic ability, you know, and she's just dangling on for dear life. It almost comes across comical. And then she gets on the train and it's just like by the next scene, it's like that never happened. No one's like, oh, I got a cut or a scrape or a bruise from hanging off the side of a moving train and a car exploding. You know, my arm's a little bit out of place. You know, oh, my back hurts. No, it's like that never happened. It feels like it was a reshot sequence tacked into the movie just to give it more of a pulse. Did anyone else get that same vibe? Let me know down below. I just don't like stuff like that. I like when each scene has a consequence. It's like, give the characters a couple scrapes, a couple bruises that they have to carry on throughout the rest of the movie, man. You know, when you watch movies like Die Hard, it's like John McClane's walking around barefoot on broken glass. His feet hurt. He's in agonizing pain. He has cuts. He has bruises. He has scrapes on his face. His shirt has some blood on it. He's not walking around all manicured the entire time until the final showdown on top of the skyscraper. You know, no. It's like the movie almost lacked continuity. Okay. Yeah, they showed that train scene in the trailer. Yeah, they showed every big scene in the trailer. They even show the found UAP footage in the trailer. I went back and watched the trailer after watching the movie. I'm like, they basically showed everything except for the shitty little CGI aliens. So those are my quick thoughts on Disclosure Day. Let me read some of your magical super chats here. And you guys are killing it already. And I do thank you guys so much. I love you guys. Don't you ever leave me. Okay, we got one here from Kyle, who says, John, I watched Stand By Me. A tiny tear trickled down my eye at the very end. Well, now a tiny party popper is going to trickle down your face after I blow it off. And by the way, any super chats $5 over get a magical. I'm calling these blockbusters now. I just felt like it ties in better to movies. They're going to be. I was thinking about calling them Bukkake blockbusters. Is everyone okay with that? If you're easily offended by it, I just don't think this is the right place for you. But if you enjoy that, welcome home. And don't you ever leave me. But anyway, Stand By Me, man. That is a movie that I like to watch just about every summer. Now, what I do is I savor that movie until the end of summer. You know, when the sun starts setting a little bit earlier and the nights get a little more crisp and cool. Because Stand By Me takes place at the very end of summer, you know, before the boys go back to, they go to high school the following week. And it just feels like the most appropriate time to watch the movie. And every time I watch that movie, it just speaks to me. No matter what age I am, the movie has always given me sort of like a meaningful, insightful, profound message. You know, when I was a kid, I looked at it from the perspective of camaraderie with my friends, hanging out, you know, going to find a dead body. Now, we never found a dead body, but we certainly did look for one. But the older I get, the more I look back on movies like that, and I think to myself, man, it's just, your youth fades more and more every year, and that magic of childhood fades more and more every year. It speaks to me. But anyway, a tear might just trickle down my eye. But thank you for the question, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from James Doshier. How's it going? For me, Catch Me If You Can was to be Spielberg's last great film. For the past 25 years, I feel Spielberg has more misses than hits lately. I would have to completely agree with you. You know, I mean, listen, there's a lot of like Spielberg movies that the majority of people don't love. And there's some movies of Spielberg's that are considered classics by the masses that I don't necessarily love. Like, for example, I like The Terminal. I think it's an easy watch movie every couple of years, but typically speaking, you know, it's not really a big classic and most people don't necessarily love it. But Catch Me If You Can might just be my favorite Spielberg movie of the 2000s. Now, my Minority Report was phenomenal, but I think Catch Me If You Can was like the great last Spielberg movie he delivered on that spoke to me on a personal level. I just like movies about con men and likable bad guys. It speaks to me. Maybe in another life I would have been Frank William Abagnale Jr. writing bad checks, flying around pretending to be an airline pilot, and then, paying beautiful women to hang out with me in a hotel room, except I write a bad check that's no good the next day. I'm sorry. But anyway, I just think that would have been a fascinating life back in the 1960s. But continuing on, I agree with you. What is the last great Spielberg movie to you guys? Let me know down below. The sun's getting real low, big guy. Yeah, if Scarlett Johansson could just pet me as she said that, I would just fall right to sleep. Munich. Yeah, Munich's a good one. I've watched Munich one time, and I did enjoy it, but it's probably one of those movies I should go back and revisit. But one thing I did want to mention, speaking of Spielberg movies, and specifically alien-themed Spielberg movies, I had not watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind in probably 20 years. And my wife had never seen it, so we were in a Spielberg mood leading up to Disclosure Day, which she liked, I hated. And we watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which came out in 1978, I believe. And I completely understand if I had watched that movie in 78, maybe I would have been more blown away by it. But I don't even think it's that. Really, when you watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I think it's hear me out for a second. The movie is well shot. It has that Spielberg magic and that Spielberg vibe. And I do like a lot of the moments and scenes in the film. I think some of the performances are phenomenal. Like Richard Dreyfuss in this movie plays this obsessed guy over aliens who just, every time he has mashed potatoes, he's making like a mountain that he's envisioning in his dreams. And he goes through the streets of his neighborhood, stealing his neighbor's trash and just, berating his family to the point where they hate him and leave so he can make a giant trash pile of pizza boxes and dirt and chicken wire into a mountain in his living room because he's that obsessed. And then by the end of the movie, he completely abandons his family and the aliens pick him to come with them. And I'm just like, am I supposed to like this guy? He's an asshole. He just left his family to go hang out with aliens. He's a piece of shit. And the thing is, in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the leading character's just not likable, which kind of made me not like the movie that much. Anyway, I hope they probe him and then they just gut him and throw him out somewhere in the sea. I hope that's what happened to Richard Dreyfuss's character in that movie because that's what he deserves. He's a piece of shit. And I believe Spielberg later said, if he had written that movie or made that movie once he had a family, he would have never done that with the character. But I think to myself, yeah, but you should have came to that conclusion when you were writing or directing the movie. That just seems like the logical conclusion not to do that. But anyway, it's a well-shot movie, but ultimately, it's one of those movies that just didn't really make me feel that much, I guess. You've been working out. You look jacked, man. Well, let me put up these biceps. You are going to have biceps in your live show? Yes, I am, Jeff Goldblum. I just been working, man. Just moving around all day, eating some protein. I've been eating a lot of Quest protein chips, and I really think that's the key. All right, never mind the sweaty pits, though. It's warm in here, and I'm on a rant. Let's keep going. The next one comes from... Let's scroll up a little bit here. There we go. That's nice. And by the way, James Doshier, thank you for the question. You get a blockbuster bukkake right to your face, man. All right, let's go to the next one here. The next one comes from Mr. Mind Trick 99. Here it goes. The last 10 minutes should have been the beginning of the movie. The main artifact made zero sense. Main bad guy just quits. It sucked. Yes, I think if Disclosure Day had opened with them disclosing it, and then maybe we get a reverse series of events, and then that ties in with the aftermath of disclosing said information about aliens, that would be more fascinating than just telling the backstory of a guy running around with an SD card that he needs to upload to a local news station that plays on the news. I like it. Well, it's okay. Just, once again, just put it on Facebook Live. It'll be fine, man. You don't need the news anymore. No one's watching it. Yeah, I completely agree. Now, I think the goal here was to potentially make a franchise where they could make another installment with the aftermath and expand on things. But I just feel like you teased me that much with a lackluster $150 million movie. I have no interest in anything you have to say for your next installment. It's like you had your opportunity. You should have said something in 2 hours and 40 minutes. If you couldn't spit anything out of your stupid mouth, well, then I don't give a shit about your next waste of money in your next sequel. So anyway, I'm just really bitter about this. I'm really sorry, guys. I just feel like this is inexcusable. I just really feel like this is an inexcusable movie. I'm not personally offended by it. I'm just disappointed. Like, just make another Jurassic Park movie. If Steven Spielberg has nothing new to say, just make a sequel to Jurassic Park. That's all we want to see. Just put some dinosaurs in there, man. I just want to watch a good dinosaur movie. I don't care about aliens anymore. I've seen this shit before. I'm just going to say this. And this really sums up the lack of substance in Disclosure Day when it comes to the alien aspect. Independence Day from 1996 gave you more backstory and more substance revolving around aliens than Disclosure Day did. And that really says something. Okay, let's keep going. But anyway, Mr. Mind Trick, thank you for the question. And there you go. The next one comes from James Doshier once again, who says, have you played Star Fox 64 back in 1997? I got Star Fox 64 on my SNES Classic right beside me right now. I love me some Star Fox. Oh, no, you said, I'm sorry, Star Fox 64. Yes, I did play Star Fox 64 on the N64. I won't say 64 anymore. I really enjoyed it. I beat that game a multitude of times. I think I owned it at one point. I always had a good time with it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The final boss was like the giant guy with hands that would come at you, and you had to that was a good time, man. Yeah, I like Star Fox. I always thought that was a fun time. Dude, I always thought they should make a Star Fox live action movie. Now, hear me out for a second. This is just from my stupid brain to you guys, but imagine a Star Fox live action movie, but you almost make it like Top Gun Maverick. Imagine that. But imagine how awesome it could be, because you're not just, you can go into the cosmos. It's Star Fox. He can do all kinds of crazy shit in his fighter jet. But you mix that with the action of something like Top Gun Maverick. And hey, maybe Tom Cruise can do the motion capture Star Fox. I don't know. Or maybe he can play Froggy. Either one, I'll take it. I loved the voices in Star Fox too. And then you had Skippy. That's just what I remember. All right. The furries would go nuts. I'd wear a tail to watch the movie. I'm wearing one right now. Let's go to the next one here, man. The next one comes from Andy Kumar 2117, who says, I've got a weird feeling Stuckman is watching us. I hope he is. I hope he is watching. How's it going, Chris? How are you? All right. Butch Scissorlegs says, as a wrestling fan, do you already know the story of the Von Erich family before the release of Iron Claw? Yeah, I was familiar with the Von Erichs. I've seen a couple documentaries. I've listened to some podcasts about them. They basically had a really tragic life story. Just one thing, if something could go wrong, it would go wrong. And I always thought one of the fascinating aspects about the Von Erichs was one of them actually lost his leg in a motorcycle accident, which you do see in the movie. But when you actually watch the real footage of him wrestling, you would never know. The dude's missing a foot in the wrestling ring. It's really interesting stuff. But yeah, I did more or less know the backstory in the Von Erichs going into Iron Claw. But thanks for the question. And You get an epic elbow drop of a party popper. All right, the next one comes from Butch Scissorlegs, who says, could an English remake of Parasite possibly work? Could it work? Maybe. Do I want to see it? Not really. I think that movie having the South Korean culture is what really tied the movie together. Like the way that culture works on a socio-economical level, it completely makes sense for Parasite. Now, you could make a version that exists in the US, but it just wouldn't have that same energy or same kind of like vibe to it. And it's just not something I think I'd want to see. Could you make it? Sure. But then again, I think like something like that would almost make sense in another decade. Like a modern day version of Parasite, just, I don't know, would not really speak to me. But if they made it take place in, I don't know, like the 1970s or something, I think that would make a far more fascinating US version of it. But let's just enjoy the South Korean one that we got, because I don't think it can be topped. I think remaking that would be blasphemy. All right, the next one comes from, but I wish somebody was living in my basement, turning my lights on every day I came home. And I will willingly feed you whatever you want. You want to live in my garage? That's fine, man. Just mow my grass when I'm at work. Robert Giacinta says, and how's it going, Robert? Josh O'Connor is cinematic NyQuil. Yeah, he really is. I don't really like him as an actor. I don't know what it is. I don't like looking at him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just always tired when I'm talking. And this is how I deliver all my lines. Yeah, okay. That's just him. That's his performance. That's how he delivers every line. He was fine in Challengers, playing some homeless guy playing tennis, but outside of that, I just haven't really seen him in a performance that really grabbed me. All right, let's keep going here. And the next part of your question was, either make the movie about Blunt discovering the alien connection or cast someone more charismatic for the male lead role. I completely agree with you. And that's the thing. Like, Emily Blunt was the most charismatic thing about this movie. And she really was the only charismatic thing about this movie. And once again, that's why she's my favorite part of the movie. Even though when you break down what her narrative plot is and her driving force, which makes no sense and it's dumb, and the more you find out, it just doesn't make any sense, she was still the best part of the movie. She didn't really need some dude to hang out with. He added nothing to it. And the other question you have to ask yourself is, why did the aliens pick this guy? You just pick some boring guy? Like, why? What is, like, had this movie been made in 1995, at least it would have been like Jeff Goldblum playing that role, which would have been far more fascinating. We're going to talk about aliens. You are going to have a disclosure on your disclosure day, but no, we didn't get any real disclosure. We just saw what looked to be AI generated clips of aliens. Josh O'Connor, not John O'Connor, or John Connor from Terminator would have been a better casting choice. Thoughts on Social Reckoning as they are just making Mark Zuckerberg the villain. Well, he is the villain. He's not a real person. He doesn't have your best interests in mind. He's becoming a supervillain who has now a social platform made for people 45 and over who just believe everything that they see, including every meme made by AI. I haven't even watched the trailer yet. I was talking to my good buddy Chris Parker from 3C Films the other day, and he's like, "Hey, did you see the trailer for The Reckoning?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't even know it was out. No one's talking about that." So how about we watch it real quick? Would you guys like to watch the trailer for The Reckoning with me? Okay, let's watch it. Now, when it comes to The Social Network, no, that's not it. Here, The Social Reckoning. Yes, that's what it's called. Now, when it comes to The Social Network, I really enjoy that movie. I think it's a really good movie. I've rewatched it probably 10 times. I love the score. I think Fincher did a phenomenal job with it. You know, I think it, in one way or another, sort of sums up what Facebook was all about and how it was created. And I think it has some great performances in it. Facebook. Drop the. It's cleaner. But anyway, let's watch this trailer together. And then hopefully I don't get a copyright claim from Sony Pictures. Okay, here we go. I might have to stop it occasionally along the way. I know it's annoying and stupid, but here it goes.
That guy, they're playing an unprecedented role in our lives.
Listen, before I go on, I want to make something clear.
Okay.
I have a hunch you're not a fan of Facebook. But I am. I am here to help Facebook, not hurt it, okay?
You sent me a message. What would you like to talk about?
The chairman gavels the session to order. You'll read your opening statement, which we'll skip past for now. That's a separate session. And we'll move to witness questioning.
I'm going to have to take it off the screen. I think I'm going to get a copyright claim. I'm sorry.
For the record.
MARKZUCKERBERG.
And your occupation?
I'm a professional defendant.
I run classifiers.
I'm a professional defendant. No, you're a robot covered in organic matter. That's what you are. All right.
Groups where 30% of content hits multiple risk factors.
Hang on, I don't understand what you're saying.
Aren't you a tech report?
I had a comment to make about this girl. She reminds me of a young Ellen Page before she became Elliot Page. Just putting it out there.
Ish.
Ish?
These guys are counting on the next round of congressional testimony to make you likable, Mark. I'm happy to lend a hand, but I think you're doomed.
This company and that guy are playing an unprecedented role in our lives.
The fire hose of bad information you are injecting into the air supply is becoming jet powered.
I'm a free speech absolutist. I'm not the one.
I'm a free speech absolutist. So we're going to watch Mark Zuckerberg give his his Senate speech that we watched a couple years ago. That's what this movie's all about.
Who's lying? And I'm not stopping them from seeing someone who is.
Want to be me?
People around.
Okay, I get it. I don't even care. Cool, it is a movie. I don't fucking care. That looks boring, but cool. I'll watch it at some point. I guess I just don't care about Mark Zuckerberg's Senate speech, and really, just I don't care anymore about anything revolving around Facebook. I don't. Is this movie going to tell us anything we don't know? Fuck. Who cares? All right, let's keep going here. It is a movie. It's something, man. I'll just watch The Social Network again. Okay, let's go to the next one here. It's like, did they forget what Jesse Eisenberg looked like? And they're just now like, it doesn't even feel like a continuation. It feels like a cash grab. Okay, the next one comes from, let's scroll up here. And thanks for the question, Robert Giacinta. You get a party popper or a blockbuster bukkake to your face. I'm going to have to remember to call these blockbuster bukkakes. It just... the next one comes from Butch Scissorlegs, who says, have you ever met Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic? That's a great question. And funny enough, I have met Doug Walker. I met him back in 2012. And what was going on was, I think they were having auditions to hire a host for their, they were going to put out a series of different videos or different shows. And one of the shows was talking about physical media. So he invited like 20 people out. I was one of them. I went to his office in Chicago. And we did like a quick audition together where we were talking about the Blu-ray of Hook or something like that. And we went back and forth, and it lasted like 5 minutes. He's like, okay, thanks. And then, that was pretty much it. But he ultimately didn't do anything with any of that. It never panned out. So I guess it was sort of a waste of time. But I did meet the nostalgia critic. And to be honest with you, I never really got into the nostalgia critic stuff. I was never a big fan of watching like skit reviews. I listen, I know he has a huge fan base. I get it. I just never really got into his stuff. Oh, and I did meet him a second time, actually, years later at a MegaCon in Chicago when I went there to do a live movie fight in 2015. I did a live movie fights, and I think he was one of the participants. So yeah, I met him there as well. There's actually if you find the movie fights video of that, it's at Chicago MegaCon. So you can go check that out. But yeah, I met him twice. He's a nice enough guy. I just, whatever. I don't know. We didn't really connect whatsoever. The next one comes from Skylar Wheelock 8477, who says, which adventure film would you love to live in for a day? I'd love to live in Jurassic Park. I don't know if you would like to live in Jurassic Park, just putting it out there. But anyway, by the way, John, I'm also wearing a Jurassic Park t-shirt tonight. Mine's in black, though. Laugh out loud. Well, this is the only one I could find at Target, so mine's gray. But it shows the armpit stains beautifully, doesn't it? And by the way, thank you for the glorious super chat. You are going to have a party popper to your face. Yes, you are. Jurassic Park would be awesome. Hey, listen, if I could go to a place called Jurassic Park and see real life dinosaurs, it's a risk I'm willing to take. Just putting it out there. But if I could live in any fantastical movie universe for a day, that's a great question. And that's a great question for everybody right now in the chat. Please let me know which fantastical movie universe you would live in for a day. Another one that comes to mind would be Avatar. Like if I could go to Avatar, like Pandora for a day and be a 9-foot tall blue alien, I think that'd be pretty cool. Like that might just be the one universe I'd want to hang out in for a day. Like where else do you want to go? Like some dystopian from Blade Runner? Nah, I don't want to do that. That's too crowded. I don't even like busy places. Yeah, I probably Pandora. I don't know. Maybe Pandora. That's where I'm probably going. Futurama. We got one here who says Middle Earth after the ring is destroyed. No. I don't want to go after the ring's destroyed. I want to go before the ring's destroyed. I like chaos and anarchy. No, that'd be awesome. Imagine going to the Shire, the real life Shire, which I know you can kind of go to. It's in New Zealand. It's like a tourist attraction now, which I would like to go to one day. But imagine going to the real life Shire and hanging out with all those little hobbits with their giant feet that are just dirty. Oh, that would be glorious. Probably Hogwarts. That would be my wife's choice. She's a huge Harry Potter head. Yeah, that'd be cool too. I'm not even a huge fan of Harry Potter, but I think walking around Hogwarts for a day would be kind of cool. The Shire Avatar is a great answer though. Yeah. The Conjuring. No, thank you. What? I'm not even going to say it. I had a weird answer, but I'm going to skip that one. But yeah, those are some good answers. We'll go with those. Okay, the next one comes from, I want to go to the post-apocalyptic wastelands of Mad Max Fury Road. I just want to, I want to meet Rictus Erectus. That's all I'm saying. Star Wars Galaxy, damn, that's a great one. That is a great answer. But there's so many places. Now, do you want to go to Tatooine? I don't. If you want to go to Tatooine, just go stand out in the middle of the Arizona desert. It's sand. Cool. I don't care. But no, imagine going to the Death Star and exploring that for a day. Now, that would be fun, right? Yeah, okay. You know what? I think the Star Wars Galaxy would be awesome. I want to go to Black Swan. Me, you and I both. All right. All right, let's go to the next one here. The next one comes from KD Video Podcast. How's it going, KD Video? And if you guys aren't familiar with KD Video, definitely check her out on Instagram. Makes awesome stuff. Since you're too generous, you get a party popper right to your face. There you go. Let me show you what I'm gonna give her a shout out, but hang on, give me a second. The name of the company's Video Production News, a professional news gathering service. That is how it should be read, and that is how it should be said. This is a gift you give yourself. This is something she made a couple years back, sent it to me very graciously. It's Nightcrawler, the VHS. I believe the movie's actually really on the VHS, but I'm too scared to open it up. I don't want to let this bad boy breathe, not anytime soon. You hear that, Jake Gyllenhaal? You're staying in the plastic forever. I'm keeping you fresh. Because I like to say, if you're seeing me, you're having the worst day of your life. But anyway, she makes awesome retro VHS covers of movies, new and old. Definitely check her out. If you're a fan of VHS or retro, you got to check her stuff out. It's on Instagram at KD Video. That's KADI. And let's dive into the question here. Yeah, it's right there. You can read it right there. Check her out. And I did one of her podcast episodes a couple years back, so that was a fun time. Here it goes. Shout out to John. Keep up the amazing work. Yeah, Disclosure Day was a bit of a letdown, but on a completely different note. Have you heard about Oliver Tree? Reports are saying he died in a helicopter crash. Absolutely crazy news, if true. What? What? What's going on here? Oliver Tree. American songwriter and rapper? Is this what we're talking about right now? What? That's crazy. I didn't even know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who that is. I didn't know that looks like a made up person to me. He's a rapper and record producer. I don't know anything new when it comes to rap music beyond the NWA from the mid 1990s. I don't know anything. Well, yeah, that's unfortunate. Well, what a downer. Okay. Well, I don't know how to segue from that. But anyway, thanks for the super chat. Very generous of you. And by the way, check her shit out. It's awesome. You'll love it. And I think it's probably best if we just move on now. I don't know what to say after that. Dude, helicopter crashes, man. Kobe, this guy, man, I do not get on a helicopter. You don't get on anything that can just drop out of the sky. At least a plane has wings. If the engine stopped working, it still glides. Helicopters just drop. No, thank you. Okay. Life is very fragile. I want to tell you guys a story real quick before I move on, and I was a little hesitant to share this, but I will share it just now. Yesterday, I was involved, or not yesterday, on Friday, and if you didn't know, I do home inspections for a living. I quite enjoy it. I find it less stressful than YouTube, and I can compartmentalize my life better this way. And I also find it to be adventurous, slightly dangerous, and enough physicality that's not overbearing or straining, where I enjoy the technical aspect of it. And I like to feel, I like to think of myself as Batman doing detective work to find everything with the biggest investment that you probably will make with your life. But anyway, my point is, I was doing a home inspection on Friday, and I was testing the electrical out, and I just flipped a light switch. I flipped a light switch in the living room, and it started smoking, which typically means it's arcing. It means there's a loose connection and the electricity is passing through the air, which makes this loud humming noise, and then the outlet will smoke because it's overheating. So this happened, and I immediately shut it off, kept an eye on it, shot it with my thermal camera, and it cooled down and everything was cool. Well, 20 minutes later, there was a fire in the attic of the house, and I had to call 911, and like 5 fire trucks showed up. There was smoke pouring out of this house, and it was a pretty insane situation. And it sucks. It really does suck that happened. But ultimately, by finding that defect that was pre-existing in that house, it was sort of like a ticking time bomb. And I found the detonator by doing the inspection. And it sucks that I had to like find it, and there was some damage to the house. But ultimately, it was a vacant house, and that could have killed somebody. If a family had moved in there and turned on those lights and went to bed, who knows what would have happened. So anyway, that's how my Friday went, and I'm still sort of processing it. But that comment about how fragile life is, it truly is terrifying. And my job as a home inspector, I've always been aware of the dangers. I know carbon monoxide can kill you. You can get electrocuted. I can fall off a roof at any time, sort of like in the Santa Claus. If I fall off a roof, I'm no longer Santa Claus. But anyway, just flipping a light switch in your house can potentially kill you. And that's terrifying. So anyway, always get a home inspection. That's my point here, everyone. So yeah, what a weird Friday. And I hope that doesn't happen again, because that was not fun. So we'll see how that turns out. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with all of you. Yeah, typically my job's not that exciting. Oh man. Okay. But anyway, yeah. I was really stressed out about it Friday. I had to come home and drink a high noon and grill some steaks and think about my life that day. So yeah. Anyway, thank you once again, everyone, for hanging out, and thanks again to Katie Video. That was very generous of you. You get another party popper. There you go, Katie. A bukkake party popper right to your face. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm okay. Everybody's okay. Everything's okay. A little bit of damage to the house, but hey, small price to pay for potentially, someone not being caught in a house fire late at night. And by the way, on a side note, let me tell you how crazy this story gets. When I was standing outside, with the buyer, the father of the buyer, he handed me the money to pay for the inspection and said, "Hey, here's the money. Thanks for saving my kid's life, who was going to buy the house the next week." So like, it's crazy, Also, the neighbor lady came over immediately after this, as all the fire trucks are there, and there was an arson investigator there. And it's just like, hey man, I didn't intentionally do this. Don't blame me. But anyway, she said, I had PTSD when I saw the smoke at the house across the street, because she's like, guess what? A couple years ago, when we moved into our house, which was right across the street, we turned on the wall switch in our living room, and guess what happened? They had a fire in their attic as well. And my first thought was, well, how about we find the guy who did the electricity on these houses and we punish him? But it was a house from the 1960s, so, he's probably long gone by this point. But anyway, let's just move on. But yes, life is very fragile. You got to make every day count. Okay, the next one comes from what is it? Pinocker? Pinoker. I'm going to call you Pinoker. I don't care. Pinoker. What's that, a Pinoker in your pocket, or are you just telling a lie, Pinocchio? All right, here goes, Pinoker. Pinocchio. Okay, I can't read. This is Spielberg's worst movie, Time to Retire, OG. Yeah, I think Spielberg needs to say, hey man, listen, I've been making the movies I want to make. And unfortunately, these just aren't not the movies people want to see. So how about... Oh yeah, he also made the shitty Indiana Jones... No, he didn't make that. No, that was what's his name. But he did make that shitty Indiana Jones movie, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so I won't forgive him for that. Yeah, I guess the magic's just dead. I think the magic's dead. And there's a saying when it comes to directors that as a director, you only have so many arrows to shoot. And eventually you run out of arrows. And I think Spielberg just might be out of arrows. And now he's just shooting Nerf darts at the wall. And they're just bouncing off and blah, 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 flying away. I remember having a Nerf gun and just shooting my little brothers in the head with it. Oh, nothing felt better in life. Just watching it bounce off their little skull. Let's keep going. All right. Brandon Dorian, 1970. How's it going, Brandon? Says, I find that critics nowadays are scared to speak their minds. Not you, though. Thank you for that. I feel like back in the day, movies would suck and have a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now it feels like the lowest you see is 40%. Well, you see, the thing you have to do on social media nowadays is if something's blatantly bad, it's cool to hate it. If something's awesome, you have to praise it and say it's the second coming of Jesus Christ and we love every single thing about it. Not one flaw, not one subjective thought. Or one objective thought. Really, both of them. But now everyone rides the line. And the truth is, and it's just a conspiracy theory, but hear me out for 1 second. If you hate everything and you blast it on Rotten Tomatoes, guess what eventually dries up and goes away? That press status. That invitation to the red carpet. To the media outlet interview, press junkets. The free swag that they send you. So a lot of people, when they don't like something and they're Rotten Tomatoes certified and approved, which I am, but the truth is I just don't really post on there that often because I guess ultimately, like, what's the point? But they purposely go out of their way not to post a negative opinion on there so they don't offend anyone or lose like that press access. Because really, if you think about it, like if I go on there and blast this new Spielberg movie, well, guess what Universal is probably never going to do? They're not going to invite me to some press junket with Steven Spielberg anytime soon. No. So that's why. That's what's happening. Everyone's sucking the teat of Hollywood to get a little access. And I get it, man. It's a fine line to ride. And I'm just at a point in my life where I'm just going to say what I want to say, and I don't care if it offends some stupid, untalented studio executive that has not had an original idea their entire life, and the only reason that they got their job was because of nepotism. You know who I'm talking to, you sons of bitches. But anyway, that's why. But also on a side note, not to be too negative, and don't get confused with the truth and negativity. A lot of people say being too honest is being too negative. And I just say, well, if it's the truth, then what's wrong with it? A lot of people don't really have good opinions either. That's just the truth. Because with the inundation of social media where everyone has a voice, that's fine. I think everyone should have the freedom to have a voice and share their opinions if they'd like to. But a lot of people just don't have real good takes. And unfortunately, sometimes those rise to the top of the conversation. So when you have people that have never had good taste or good opinions or don't know what qualifies as a quality cinematic experience, sharing their thoughts on TikTok in a 30-second reaction video where they say, this movie slapped. When they're saying shit like that, you just think to yourself, okay, all right. And then they're typically the same person who likes every movie. And if you like everything, how can I trust your opinion on anything? So let's keep going. And the next one, comes from, oh gosh, I don't even know where I'm at anymore. Anyway, Brandon, thank you for the super chat. Here's a blockbuster bukkake. Do you guys like the term blockbuster bukkake? Or do you want me to call them party poppers? You guys tell me. I'll let you guys choose this. The next one comes from Mr. Mind Trick 99, who says, the main guy stole 2 out of the 3 alien artifacts, but left 1 behind for the bad guys. Laugh out loud. What the F? Makes no sense. The whole alien artifact thing where they didn't really understand the technology, but it could kind of like transport your presence somewhere else, and you could like take over the mind of someone else and almost possess their body. And they never explained this technology or like elaborated on anything. The only reason the bad guys used this technology was to find the other technology. That's the only thing they're doing with it. That's the best thing they could figure out to do with it. Okay. Yeah, it was just a series of really odd ideas that weren't really flushed out or explored in any meaningful way. And hey, really, hey, if you guys like Disclosure Day and you disagree with what I'm saying, please leave your thoughts down below. I would love to know why you liked it. And if you have some kind of counter argument with why I didn't like Disclosure Day, please let me know. I really would like to hear from you. Good Lord, not Bukkake. Why? Why not? John, thoughts on the movie Tango and Cash? It's okay. It's an okay movie. Not very good, but okay in the worst way possible. They both go to prison. It's completely over the top. But that movie also came out right around the same time Stallone made another prison movie called Lockdown, where he also goes to prison again. And I much preferred that movie over Tango and Cash. I thought that was a much superior film, and I really like Lockdown. I believe I owned it on 4K back there somewhere, but Tango and Cash, I don't remember like the specifics. That was the movie with the jaw, the guy with the big jaw, right? Tango, Cash, jaw. Yeah, let me look at this guy. Oh yeah, look at this. Let me show you this jaw, man. Oh, God, look at that thing. I just want to open a can of pickles with it. Look at that guy's jaw, man. That's real. That's a real jaw. Oh my God. Look at that. I always liked him as a bad guy. I always thought he stood out, and I mean, you think that's prosthetics. That is just that dude's face. But anyway, that's what I remember most from Tango and Cash. All right. But Lockdown's the much better movie. Okay. The next one comes from... the next one's coming from somebody here. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Haywood Jablom. Haywood Jablom? Haywood Jablom? I know I would. Anyway, here it goes. John, I was wondering your thoughts on the upcoming prime time movie with Robert Pattinson. Been a fan for 12 years. Much love. Well, thank you so much, man. 12 years. It goes by in a blink of an eye, doesn't it? 12 years ago. What year is this? 2026? So 2016, 2015, 2014. Now, I'm not a mathematician. So 2014 you've been watching, man, and I thank you for that. Thank you so much. It's weird, man. It's the nostalgia. Sometimes I scroll back and watch my older videos and I'm just like, where has the time gone? It makes me sad. But you know what doesn't make me sad? You still watching, being here. So thank you for that, all of you. Okay, here it goes. And you get a party popper. There you go, man. But anyway, Robert Pattinson primetime movie. Let's check this out. That sounds really familiar. Robert Pattinson primetime movie. Okay, here it is. Based, let's see. He's an American television journalist. I don't know much about this movie. Is there anything that's been announced about this movie? Release date. Is it a Safdie Brothers movie? What is this? Okay, it's an A24 film. It's scheduled to be released in theaters fall of 2026. Based on early teasers, the movie features Pattinson in a thriller role directed by Lance Oppenheim. Have I seen a trailer for this? I don't know. I don't remember seeing a trailer for this movie. I know nothing about this movie. Okay, anyway, I'll check it out, man. Anything Pattinson does nowadays, especially with A24, I will definitely check out. I'm just waiting on the Batman 2. It's only been 17 years. Give me that. But anyway, man, thank you so much for the question. And most importantly, thank you for watching. Unfortunately, I don't know much about the Primetime movie. It's the Catch the Predator movie. Oh my. Why don't you have a seat over here? Come in. Hi, I got some cookies in the oven. Why don't you just come in and sit down? Okay, now I know what you're talking about. That's all you had to say. The Chris Hansen movie. Okay, now I know what you're saying, man. I'm looking forward to that. Watching that show, How to Catch a Predator, always made me feel so much better about my life. I'm like, at least I'm not that guy. Does anyone else ever do that? Anyway, yeah, fascinating stuff. I think it's a tragedy that they had to cancel that show because some predator ended up offing himself because he's a predator. It's like, no. You keep going because of that. You don't stop. You keep going. This is working. You keep doing it, Chris Hansen. Keep going. You're an American hero. So why don't you just have a seat over there? I need to make a t-shirt that says, why don't you have a seat? So yeah, now I know I am immensely excited for that. Anyway, John, does the casting for the Odyssey worry you? You know what? I'm not going to get too caught up in the casting because I think as an objective thinker, the first thing you should do before you want to complain about a movie is watch the movie. And then after I watch the movie, if that casting took me out of the movie, it felt miscast, it felt forced, then maybe I'll have some problems. But I am looking forward to seeing the Odyssey for the cinematic experience from Chris Nolan. I'm hoping it's awesome. I'm hoping it's immersive and gives me everything I want. But if these casting choices stand out like a sore thumb and just don't feel like they make any coherent sense for the story or the plot, then yeah, I might have an issue with it. But let's see how it works in the movie. I'm willing to give it a chance. So yeah. And the other thing is my biggest fear, and I'm sorry, I guess the internet is way too predictable at this point, or maybe I've just been talking about movies way too long in my underwear in front of a camera. But my point is, if this movie isn't that good and it's sort of like a mess, and I say I didn't like the movie, there's going to be a whole group of people that say, well, it's because you don't like the casting choices. And then if I do like the movie, I'm going to have this whole group of people who call me woke, which just like, do I seem like a guy who's that overly woke to you? I don't know. And so it's going to be like a lose-lose either way. You know what I mean? And the whole conversation is going to, rather than just talk about the movie and the effects and the story and some of the performances, it's going to get off on this tangent of like the casting choices. And it's just like, ugh. So I'm hoping for the sake of the movie, it works. But also from Christopher Nolan's perspective and a marketing perspective, if it doesn't work and it takes the focus away from your movie, then that just seems like a bad business move altogether. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. I'm hoping the movie's awesome. I'm hoping everyone is perfectly cast for the role that they are in. That's all I'm hoping for. That's all. I just want to see a good movie. That's all I want. Do you think I like watching bad movies? I don't. I promise you. Like Disclosure Day, going into that, I was like, okay, the Spielberg magic is back. We're going to have this mind-boggling experience where they announce aliens and it's going to like have this profound effect on my life. Give it to me now, Spielberg. If one man in Hollywood can do it, it's you. And then you watch the movie and you go, oh shit, Hollywood's dead. Or at least that's how I felt. Okay, let's keep going. Andy Kumar back again says, coming to India Tuesday, WNBA, Sophie Cunningham. Oh, coming to Indiana. I'm sorry. Why did I say India? I don't know why I said India. I really don't know why I said that. Coming to India. I don't watch the WNBA. Does anyone? I don't know. But I will be watching UFC after this live show in bed, eating my leftover Pizza Hut that we got tonight with breadsticks, drinking a delicious Sprite Zero as I watch people fight in front of the White House. I cannot wait. It's on right now. But anyway, we'll get there. But yeah, I don't know anything about that, man. The Real Batman says, evening, John. Longtime watcher, 10 plus years. Isn't Catch Me If You Can's soundtrack so great? I remember falling asleep at the main menu screen a lot. Oh yeah, the song. It's got like a beat like that, like a real 60s melody, right? It's a little bit promiscuous, if you will. Yeah, it's good stuff. I love it. I don't know if I've ever fallen asleep to it, but I could. I probably could. But man, you've been watching for 10 plus years. Thank you so much for that. That deserves a beautiful blockbuster pop right to your melon. There you go, man. And here's to another 10 years. I'm not going anywhere. I have nowhere else to be except in front of you guys talking about movies. So thank you so much, man. It does mean a lot. All right. The next one comes from Pinyaker. Is it Pinyaker? What? All right, here it goes. And thank you for the super chat, man. I've been a fan of yours since I was a kid in the early 2000s and 10s. Well, I'd like to think I raised you. But anyway, let's keep going. Loved your movie reviews with Stuckman. I'm watching the Dark Knight trilogy. Ages like fine wine. I think The Dark Knight Rises is underrated. Well, listen, I think in many aspects, and I've talked about The Dark Knight Rises a lot over the years, maybe a bit too much, but when it comes to The Dark Knight Rises, upon rewatch, and I have probably seen the movie 30 plus times, at least. There's a lot of stuff I really like about The Dark Knight Rises. But there's a lot of stuff I really don't like about The Dark Knight Rises. And it is by far and away the sloppiest of the trilogy, the messiest of the trilogy, and the writing is the worst of the trilogy. Some of the dialogue, a little clunky. Some of the narrative, a little clunky. And some things just feel choppy and incoherent. But there's a lot that I love. Like, I like Tom Hardy as Bane. I don't care what anyone says. I like the voice. I like it, man. So you come back to die with your shitty. No, I come back to stop you. Okay. Why is everyone behind us why do they all have AK-47s, but they're fighting with their fist? But none of these extras back there are actually hitting each other because we couldn't hire qualified stunt actors to actually fight each other. We had to find extras in the Kmart parking lot on the way here today. I don't know. Why does it contain one of the worst death scenes ever put in a cinema? And your father will have his vengeance. Okay, Talia al Ghul, that's how people die, I guess. But I love the soundtrack to it. I love when Bruce Wayne puts on his magic knee brace and goes back and into the streets of Gotham to save the day. I like what's-her-face as Catwoman, you know. There's a lot I enjoy about the movie. Anne Hathaway, I know her name. But there's a lot that just feels sloppy. And going back to it, you know... And also, you know, my biggest thing with it was when Bruce Wayne got in the Batwing and had the bomb on the countdown clock about to explode, and you think, oh man, he's going to sacrifice himself. And then they show like that scene at the end of the movie where it kind of like undoes that a little bit. I'm like, what? Why did you throw that in here? Was that just Alfred imagining that? Did we need that? I just wanted Bruce Wayne to be dead. And in my mind, he is dead. He made the ultimate sacrifice. So anyway, I guess Joseph Gordon-Levitt's running around as Nightwing or Robin in the city. I guess, whatever. But I much prefer Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. You know, the more I've thought about The Dark Knight Rises, the more it's kind of gone to the bottom of the trilogy for me. Superman saved him. Maybe. All right, let's keep going here, man. And thanks for the question. The Real Batman says, did you like the movie Arrival? Need to rewatch it. Man, listen, the wife and I have been going on this splurge of watching all these 90s blockbuster movies. And like a lot of the blockbuster movies that aren't like the best of the best. Because I grew up with these movies, but she's never seen a majority of them. Like we've rewatched Stargate. We watched Contact with Jodie Foster, which is sort of like in similar territory to, are we talking about two different movies? Arrival. Yeah, you're talking about Arrival with, Denis Villeneuve. I'm thinking about I'm talking about The Arrival with Charlie Sheen from 1996. That's what I was talking about right here, man. I'm talking about this right here. I've just been in the mood for like 90s movies lately. It's featuring aliens. And I remember watching this movie. Now, Arrival, I do enjoy. I have a review for it. I liked it. Some of the things that were explained at the end of the movie I didn't like, but the aspect of trying to communicate with an alien race, I thought that was truly fascinating. But Arrival from 96, though, it's on my to-watch list. Oh, we watched Conspiracy Theory with Tom Hanks. And last night, we watched Congo from 1995, I believe. Not a very good movie. Not a very good movie at all. It has a talking gorilla that uses sign language to communicate, but she has a voice translator, and she's like, my name's Amy. Amy. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I remember it kind of being lame. I remember how it ends, so maybe I shouldn't rewatch it. Your mother, Trebek. All right, let's keep going. We are so behind on these questions. I should probably start talking way, way quicker. Here we go. Harmond Calvengeance. Harmonical Calvengeance. Did I even say that right? It's hard to pronounce things when it's a whole bunch of letters. Anyway, I need spaces to comprehend what your name is. Hey, John. I've been watching your old Blu-ray collection videos, and your Buffalo Bill impression is gold. It puts the lotion in the basket, or else it gets the hose again. It doesn't remember its tone. You want a party popper? Here you go. Whoa, whoa. I love me some Buffalo Bill. I do. Oh, well, she was a big old fat lady, wasn't she? Okay. All right. Like, could you imagine, like, casting, Ted Levine was the best guy you could hire to play Buffalo Bill. Like, one of the best casting choices with Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. Perfect. Okay, here we go. Skylar Wheelock, 8477, says, Hey there, been a better heist film than The Town since its release. If not, what comes close are just as good. You know, the truth is, since The Town, what was that, 2010? 2011, 2010? I think it was 2010. I can't think of a better heist film, can you? There's been a lot of bad heist films. And don't even mention the Gerard Butler heist films. Those are not good movies. I can't think of anything better than The Town as a heist movie since The Town. Not coming. If you guys got one, let me know down below. What the fuck? I think one of the party popper... Dude! Okay, listen. I've had this Powerade sitting beside me, and this is... Look how big the top of this is. This is how big the lid is, right? One of the party popper things fell in there, and that's floating around. Look at that. I almost just drank it. I'll drink this party popper for $20. Any takers? No, I'm kidding. I don't want to do it. But anyway, it's got a whole bunch of chemicals on it. But what are the odds that thing fell in there? I don't know. Now I need a new Powerade. Okay, let's keep going here. But anyway, thank you for the question, buddy. And you get a party popper. Hopefully this one doesn't go down my throat. The next one comes from MVS 5248, who says, highly recommend The Furious, one of the best action movies I've seen in years. Pure, insane, brutal, kung fu, badassery. Easy top 3 of the year so far. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I just had a conversation with someone about this movie yesterday, and I probably will check it out at some point. You know, not to be that guy, but I'll probably watch it once it hits streaming. But yeah, it sounds like a good time. I definitely would like to check it out. Sounds like a nice kind of rainy night movie to watch, you know? Okay, here's what somebody said for heist movies. Ocean's trilogy. Well, yeah, the first Ocean's is good. All the following sequels are not good. And the first Ocean's movie came out in, 2000? So The Town came out in 2010. So what came after The Town was the question. Tower Heist? No. Baby Driver was fantastic. Yeah, but I wouldn't call Baby Driver like a good heist movie. Hell or High Water? Yeah, it's good, but I don't think it's a better heist movie than The Town. Hey, Dougie, I'm leaving my whole town in this rearview mirror. You're a crime stopper. Why don't you figure it out? Before they went fast, they were furious. Yeah, Hell or High Water is a great movie. I think The Town's the better heist movie, though. I love me some Ben Foster, though. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And thanks for the questions. Robert Giacinta back again says, name a time you and your friends did something shady or illegal in middle school. My friends and I went to the bathroom on my neighbor's canoe. That's a good time. Okay, I didn't do this, but I knew a guy who did this in high school. During gym class, he pooped in some kid's shoe. The kid put it on, and I think he got kicked out of school the rest of the year. It was not me, I swear to you. I remember that. We did a multitude of things. I had one friend. Do you guys remember? Let me find what I'm talking about here. Inflatable star projector. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, do you guys remember these things in like high school or elementary school? Do you remember these big inflatable little contraptions that you would go in there and they would project the stars inside of this thing and it was inflated with a fan? Do you remember this? I know I do. So I had a friend in high school and we were in gym class and nobody was in this thing. It was just sitting in the middle of the gym floor. And he runs and dives on this thing thinking it's going to hold his fat ass up. Little does he know, like, this thing is powered by like a tiny fan. It just implodes under his weight. He shatters the fan inside of it. And then he got kicked out of school. And because I witnessed it and I wouldn't tell on him because I'm not, listen, man, I didn't see nothing. All right. I didn't see nothing. I ain't ratting on nobody. And I told the principal that. And he's like, okay, well, you're suspended too. And I'm like, for what? He's like, for not telling me. And I'm like, you can't prove that I didn't see something. You can't prove that. He's like, I don't care. You're suspended. So Mr. Pickett, go fuck yourself. But anyway, beyond all that, my point is, my best friend and I were both suspended on the same day of high school. So we basically just went to the movie theater and hung out all day and got like Panda Express. It was a great day. So anyway, good times. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from... let's see. How did we even get to that? I'm sorry. How did we even get to that question? Oh, the middle school thing. Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, so that's my middle school story. So there you go. Butch Scissorleg says, do you eat fish? If so, what's your favorite kind? I like to eat fish every once in a while. No, I do like fish. I do. It depends. I'm not the biggest seafood guy. You know, some popcorn shrimp or something, or like a fish fry, some French fries on the side. That's a good time. But I'm more of a steak guy. You know, give me a nice sirloin steak on the grill, nice and charred. Oh, just give me that. Or steak and eggs for breakfast, which is what I just ate this morning. Delicious. All right. Skylar Wheelock says, Batman got his name from his fear of bats. Using the same logic, what are you afraid of? What's your superhero name? Oh, I don't know. Colon cancer man, I guess. The thought of that, the older you get, the more statistically the odds are not in your favor for such thing, especially if you're a man. That scares me a little bit. That might be one of my fears. Plane crash man. Every time I get on a plane, I just have this fear that it's going to crash land. And I just think to myself, we're in this middle tube made by the lowest bidder, 35,000 feet in the air. The wings are literally shaking back and forth. The windows are made out of plexiglass. How is this happening right now? This just doesn't feel like we should be here. I feel like whenever you're on a plane and you're up in the sky, time ceased to exist. Have you ever noticed that? Nothing matters at that point. It's a weird thing. Like nothing really gets done. Nothing matters. You're just trying to survive until you land. It's like your brain just shuts off. It's like rendering mode. Does anyone else feel like you're picking up what I'm putting down, or do I even know what I'm talking about? I think it's best we just move on. The next question comes from... by the way, one of my biggest fears is actually drinking one of these party poppers accidentally. So, Daniel 51905 says, and thanks for joining us, Daniel. Could be much worse. He's not modern Ridley Scott. You're right, man. Ridley Scott just does not give a shit anymore, does he? He's just like, listen, we got 3 hours to shoot this $100 million movie. We're going to do one take. I'm going to do it with a handheld camera shot that's going to shake too much when we shoot it, so it won't look that cinematic. It'll look more like a Paul Greengrass movie. And go. Ridley Scott's just crapping shit out at this point. I don't even know why he's making movies. It doesn't seem like he cares. But then again, when you're that old and you only have so much time, like maybe one take's all you have time for. That's why Clint Eastwood does it. I get it, man. If I was 95 years old, I'd be like, listen, we don't have time for 14 takes. I haven't been on a plane in 32 years, says Novasonic. I get it, man. If I could avoid getting on a plane, I would. I don't like it. The whole process. It's just the worst day of your life anytime you have to get on a plane. That's why I don't want to go anywhere. They're like, yeah, you could just go to Florida. You get on a plane. You're there in a couple of hours. I'm like, no. It's not just get on a plane. No. You got to wake up at 5 o'clock. Then you got to go stand in a line. And then you got to hope that somehow, some way, magically, your plane just takes off when it should. But before you do all that, you got to crowd onto the plane like you're a sardine. It's all hot and muggy. And then you're waiting there just to take off, and you're just hoping that there's not some screaming baby behind you or some guy that just has some incurable disease who's just spraying everywhere on the plane, because there's always that person that's sneezing constantly. Always a person sneezing on a plane. It's like, great, I'm stuck on a tube sharing the same air as this guy. And then, if everything goes according to plan and the plane doesn't crash into the side of a mountain and you make it to said destination, then you got to get off the plane. And then everyone's standing there like they've never been anywhere in their life or have nowhere to go. Everyone just stands up and they stand there and they go, oh, it's like if everyone walked at the same time, we could all leave. But everyone, what do I do? I've never been anywhere. Do I take my luggage off or do I stand there and look at it for 4 fucking hours? And then once you get off the plane, then you're behind everyone who just doesn't feel like they want to get out of the airport. They're walking backwards almost. It's like time has went in reverse. And by the time you leave the airport and you call an Uber and you walked 4 miles to get to said Uber, then you get to your hotel. And once you're at your hotel, that's where the real fun starts. You hope and you pray that your reservation's going to work out. But half the time it's like you get there and they're like, they don't even know that you made a reservation. They're like, who are you? I'm like, I made a reservation 3 months ago. It's already paid in full and you confirmed it. I have an email here, documentation right here. This is my name. Here's my ID. What else do you need? And then they keep typing into a computer like they have no clue what you're doing there. And then finally, by an act of God, they give you your room number. You go up to the room, and then guess what? You turn on the air. You're like, okay, we're finally done. I'm going to lay on this dirty hotel bed that probably has bed bugs. There's a high probability that it does. And you turn on the AC, and you're just like, I want to lay here with my thoughts for 10 minutes and get acclimated. And then guess what happens? You hear a rattling noise from the AC system, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You get the one unit in the hotel that just doesn't have AC. And you think, of course this is happening to me. Now, if you get lucky and the AC does work, then you go to use the toilet and the toilet's clogged. So back to my point, I understand why you don't like getting on planes, and nor do I. I think it's time to go to the next question. What do you say? Okay. Oh yeah. Murph, how's it going, Murph? I need a bukkake, John. This is just for you. There you go. All right, the next one comes from Jason Nelson, 5251, who says, did the 2-hour drive for Disclosure Day help you gesticulate on it? A little bit, yeah, just slightly. It made me realize how much I didn't like the movie, because that's the thing. Sometimes I watch a movie and I'm still sort of processing it after the fact, and sometimes I shoot those, like the reaction review video I shot with Austin Burke on the FlickPick channel. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out. We shot the quick review outside of the theater together. He liked it more than I did. But sometimes when you're like out there shooting a video in front of a parking lot and people are driving by, you just watched the movie 10 minutes ago. You're trying to like think about it, but you don't have a lot of time. And the more you think about it, the less you like the movie. So yes, it did help that. But on the way home, we actually listened to an audiobook. And the audiobook was much better. War of the Worlds, one of my not so great Spielberg movies, but I would say War of the Worlds is light years better than Disclosure Day. At least you have aliens doing things. Has Spielberg ever made a truly bad movie? Yeah, Disclosure Day. All right, the next one comes from... I genuinely think Disclosure Day is a bad movie. I do. Okay, Claudia Rogajon, how's it going, man? And here it goes. I got back from watching Obsession. I liked the movie, but I don't think it's as great as other people say. What about you? Do you think it's overhyped? Claudio, if you watched my live show last week, I talked all about the movie for like 10 minutes, man. I did like it. Do I think I'm going to like revisit it over and over? No, but I think when you look at a low budget movie, or as low budget as an independent movie like Obsession can be, I think it was still like made for millions of dollars, but the performances in that movie and the script with the blend of dark comedy and the simplicity of the story. But most importantly, it's the performances that carry that movie. Like the main leading lady in that movie just being this kooky, crazy lady who's just bipolar. I thought that was captivating. Like her performance carried that movie. And it just goes to show you sometimes a great performance can carry a movie. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And that movie delivered for me. I was entertained from start to finish. I thought it was eerie. I thought it was, the dark comedy worked. I thought it was really well made and crafted. And I think it did its job as a movie. That whole genre of you don't wish for, or you get what you wish for kind of a genre. I like it. And I think it was a good movie. I do. So I did enjoy it. But I would, like, next Halloween, like, if I was going to pick, like, a horror movie to watch, I'd probably watch Backrooms before I watch Obsession, But Obsession was it was a good time. I enjoyed it. Lincoln was a great historic movie. Yeah, Lincoln, and thank you, your Cranium Ranium. Lincoln, Obsession was made for $750K. Is that true? Holy shit. I thought it was like a couple million. Okay, well, hey, what they did with $750K, round of applause, man. Makes me like it even more. But thanks, Dezinker. Uranium Cranium says 1941. Yeah, that's not one of my favorite Spielberg movies. Watched it once, probably never again. Lincoln was well made, but it was like reading a historic novel. And it's fine. It's a good look into like the 16th Amendment or what have you, but it's just not one of my favorite Spielberg movies. We talked about Close Encounters earlier. I do have some problems with the movie. It's not one of my favorites, though. Ultimately, it comes to Catch Me If You Can, Jurassic Park, and the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. And those really are my favorite Spielberg movies. I mean, E.T.'s never been one of my favorites, but I like it. You know what I mean? The idea of E.T. I like. Okay, the next one comes from, and thanks for the question, Claudio. You get a party popper. There you go, buddy. Skylar Wheelock back again says, why are homes getting older, but homeowners are getting less handy? The average house is now 44 years old, and somehow we've gone from fixing things ourselves to watching YouTube videos and hope for the best. Yeah, it's just people are losing touch with, physicality and labor. And listen, I do home inspections every day, and a lot of people that get a home inspection know nothing about a house. They have no clue, and it makes sense. It does. And I get it to some degree, I wasn't really interested in anything to do with homes or anything until like my late 20s. I wasn't really that into doing home projects or things around the house. And then one day, I think my brain just got to that point where it's like, click. Okay, now I have to start doing handyman stuff around the house. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of biological implementation that we're all programmed with, or at least I know I was. So, yeah, a lot of people don't know anything, and really, to be honest with you, I mean, common sense is sort of not very common nowadays. Like, you've been in society, you've met people and talked to people. Like, a lot of people just don't know anything unless TikTok tells them. They have no clue. Whatever comes up on my For You page, that's my education. I seek nothing out. I ask no questions. Unless you tell me something, I don't know about it. But anyway, thank you for the question, Skylar Wheelock. Thank you so much. But hey, YouTube's a great resource. If you don't know how to fix something, it's on YouTube. The information's out there. D-Zinker says, did you spend more time on your sound system or TV? And what type of sound system do you have? By the way, did you like Arrow announced a Troy 4K? I think I heard about that. I definitely will want to get that Troy 4K. I think I remember hearing about that. I'm really hyper-focused on that Stranger Things 4K release coming out next month. I want to get that bad boy. Well, for me, my TV in my living room is a Sony Bravia 8. And it has the Sony surround sound 5.1 system, like a soundbar system with 2 rear speakers and a subwoofer. And that thing works flawlessly. I love it. Now, the sound system I have in my theater room, I have a 83-inch LG OLED TV, which broke literally at its 3-year warranty, but thank God I had the extended warranty. And in that room, I have a 5.1 system it's called Shockwave. Not Shockwave. Shockwave. I believe I'm saying that right. And I did a sponsored video for them like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's like a $1,100 surround sound system, and it's got dual subwoofers. So I guess it's like a 5.2 surround sound system technically. Anyway, the bass is awesome. It sounds really good. The only problem I've ever had with it over the years of watching movies in there is, and this is like a problem with a lot of Bluetooth surround sound systems. That's why I wish everything you could still wire it in. Because when you have wireless surround sound, you're typically just asking for problems because there can be interference. So with that sound system, for a long time I was having issues where I'd have to change the like the sound channel on the Bluetooth because it would get interference and the subwoofers would make like this popping sound. I think it's just something to do with the room where it's located. And I'm just like, if you had just made a connection where I could hardwire each of these speakers in and wire them all up together and not have them wireless, this would be solved. So anyway, but it's a good system, you know. Thomas McCollin, how's it going? Thomas says, I saw a disclosure yesterday on Sunday afternoon. I genuinely enjoyed it, but the cinema wasn't packed and the audience was mostly older people. Yeah, but did they fall asleep halfway through it? Top 5 Spielberg movies, we talked about that. For me, it's like Indiana Jones movies, Jurassic Park, Catch Me If You Can. Those are like my top 5, 6 Spielberg movies. Now, Jaws is definitely in there, but like rewatchability, I've watched all those movies more than Jaws. I can watch Jaws once a year during the summer month of July. And I do love it. I think it's iconic. I think it has literally the best movie. I think Jaws is maybe the best movie poster of all time. And I have a degree in graphic design. So, you know, like to me, that means a lot. I got the Jaws poster back there. I got the Jaws popcorn bucket. Done right there. I got all kinds of Jaws shit in this room. I got like 4 copies of Jaws on 4K. I have a whole shelf dedicated to Jaws over there. There's actually like a figure of Jaws. I got one of the buoys right there. So I love me some Jaws. I think it's iconic. But like rewatchability wise, it's always been like one of my favorite Spielberg movies, but one of my like I watch it once maybe every couple of years. Jurassic Park, I can watch that thing like once a month if it's on TV. Do you still use the Ray Neo glasses? Yeah, I still have the Ray Neo glasses. For my sponsor, some people called it a sellout video, but I'm like, you just put glasses on and watch a movie when you're laying in bed. I do have them. I have used them a couple times. They're in my nightstand. And sometimes I usually use those Ray Neo glasses. Go watch. Here, listen, I'll show you. I'll show you what I'm talking about. How about that? Cash Me Outside. How about that? Who am I again? The Flick Pick. Okay. Watch YouTube give me a copyright claim on my own video. All right. So these are the Ray Neo glasses. You put these glasses on your face and it basically looks like a 200-inch like screen on your eyeballs. Now these things cost like a couple $100. And definitely use my link down below to buy them. But no, in all seriousness, these are awesome because like if you're on a plane or you're just laying in bed at night and you want to watch a movie or scroll on YouTube, like you don't have to have a laptop open. No one needs to see what you're watching. You just put these glasses on and like the movie's right there. It's like you're sitting in front of an IMAX screen. So anyway, I quite enjoyed them. I do have them. I've used them a handful of times since making this video. I think they're awesome. And they look pretty good too. So I recommend them. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna keep the live show going for like another 5 or 10 minutes. So if you guys have any questions or topics, please get them in now. I will make sure to answer all of them. Thomas McCollin says, "Hey John, what are your King of the Ring predictions? I think Lesnar could cost Femi the tournament." Yeah, I don't think Oba Femi needs to win the tournament, but I'm hoping that Jey Uso does not win the tournament. It's like he won the Royal Rumble. Okay, we saw that. Then he won the championship. Okay, we saw that. And it was kind of like, yeah. So I don't need him to win King of the Ring. Do I think they could do something interesting with that? Maybe. It would give him more purpose, but at the same time, I just don't want to see Jey Uso in a championship match against Cody Rhodes because they've already wrestled multiple times, and I just don't care. So I'm hoping anyone else but him wins it, and I would be okay with that. But I am a huge fan of Obafemi. But I don't think he needs to win it. Okay, all right. Let's go to the next one here, and the next one comes from... IG5BM says, Nolan's Odyssey is based on Emily Wilson's feminist translation from 2017. Peak woke, sorry, but there's 0% chance this movie turns out any good. I would have to look into that. I would really have to look into that. I mean, you know, on the surface, I guess that makes sense, knowing everything I know about the movie. Whoa, look at that. Let's get rid of that. That was a lot happening, wasn't it? That was The Matrix. A live show within a live show within a live show. Anyway. Yeah, we'll have to watch the movie and see, man. I will have to do some research on that. I did not hear about that until just now, but thank you for the insight. I will look into that. Okay, LL Magic 94 says, Sup, John. Would you put Oppenheimer above Lincoln? Yeah, I probably would rather rewatch Oppenheimer than Lincoln. And by the way, speaking of explosions, there's one right there. That was probably a bigger explosion than you got in Oppenheimer. It's like, hey, here's this practical explosion in Oppenheimer. We've been waiting 3 hours to watch it in the movie, but I'm sorry, I'm just going to put it out there. Watching that practical explosion in Oppenheimer, that could have been like a firework explosion in my backyard shot with an IMAX camera. I did not get the scale of that explosion when watching it, and I thought it was really underwhelming. It didn't even look like an atomic explosion, did it? I just thought that was... Did anyone else get a little... Were you underwhelmed by the explosion in Oppenheimer? We talked about this thing for 3 hours, and it just looks like any other explosion. Like, I don't know, man. I just putting it out there. I like the movie. I do. I just... Bring back the two Johns. One day, when I have the power to clone myself, I will. All right. But thank you for the question, man. And we got one more question here from Claudio Rogajon. Once again, how's it going, Claudio? It is not a live show unless you join me, so thank you so much. I forgot to say, I also watched He-Man last night Masters of the Universe, but anyway. In all honesty, I'd rather watch the 80s movie because it's more entertaining to me, not very funny. Yeah, it was a little bland. Like, it was non-offensive, mildly entertaining. You got some of the characters, you got some of the He-Man lore, but ultimately you sort of get a bland movie that you're not going to remember once you leave the theater. And that's what Masters of the Universe was. You know, it is fine, but I completely understand why the movie's not doing that well at the box office. It just kind of exists, you know, and I don't know what they were thinking making it for $100+ million. Like, this should have just been a movie that was made for Amazon Prime, and then that's where it belongs. And there's nothing wrong with that. I was mildly entertained by it. You know, I think it's the best Jared Leto performance in the last 5 years. Why? Because he's basically motion capture, and he has a voice modulator, and you don't even know it's Jared Leto. So I think that's why it's the best performance, but at least He-Man had muscles and you had dudes fighting each other, and that was what He-Man was. And keep in mind, it's a movie based on a cartoon series based on a toy line from the 1980s. It's not like it ever had that much substance going into it. So in all fairness, it was as good as it should have been. But like I said on the last live show when we talked about Masters of the Universe, I much would have preferred had He-Man or Masters of the Universe just had more of a vibe, like a more of a dark fantasy vibe. Like, give me that pure 80s dark fantasy. I think if they had went that route, I really think it would have been more memorable. Just putting it out there. Uranium Cranium says, John, I've watched a lot of reviews of Disclosure Day. All were bad, but one referred to a scene where Emily Blunt inexplicitly freaks out and the audience started laughing. Did you laugh? I mean, it feels like she's freaking out throughout the entire movie. I mean, at one point, she has like a panic attack. It seemed like she was really high-strung throughout the entire movie, so I don't know. The thing about Emily Blunt's character in Disclosure Day is, with your introduction of her, she immediately is like weird. So you never get this like baseline normalness of her character to really tell the difference. Like from the first 30 seconds she's on screen, she's like, something's off. So I'm like, is she just always like high-strung with a lot of anxiety? Or is she like being possessed by aliens right now? I could not pick up on what she's supposed to be like because the movie never showed me. Have you seen the show Weeds? I think I may have watched a few episodes a long time ago. I used to watch Orange is the New Black quite often. Does Home Alone count as a heist movie? I think it could. Why not? I think it could. A child abduction heist movie? Sure. It's got all those genres, along with the Christmas spirit. But anyway, Claudio Rogajan, I have the power! And thanks for joining me once again. Okay, I think am I out of... I got a couple more. Okay, I'm going to answer just a few more questions, guys. So, please, no more questions. I don't want to miss anything. Louis Berry 4403 says, favorite Emily Blunt film and performance. Oh boy, let me show you the one I like. Devil Wears Prada 2. Definitely my favorite Emily Blunt movie. I'm lying. I quite enjoyed Emily Blunt in a little movie called Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat. The title keeps changing, but I still like the movie quite a bit. Emily Blunt right there. In this movie, I thought it was top notch, man. That was where I looked at Emily Blunt in a different way. So that's probably my favorite performance of Emily Blunt. I do quite enjoy her in, oh God, I forgot what they're called. The John Krasinski movies. What are those? Oh my God, what are those called? Emily Blunt movies. A Quiet Place. I'm so sorry. That's when you know I've been talking too long about movies tonight. Yeah, I liked her in Quiet Place too. I thought she gave a really good performance, and she gave birth to a baby in a bathtub. I thought that was really good. So, Quiet Place and probably Live, Die, Repeat, I think are my favorite Emily Blunt performances. I'd have to go with that. Okay, the next one comes from Thickheart28, who says, "Hi, John. Saw Furious, sickest thing to come out of China since COVID." That's a good one. I do want to check it out. We talked about it earlier. I've heard good things. I definitely will check out the movie. If it's some brutal hand-to-hand combat, you know, something like The Raid Redemption or The Raid, I'll definitely check it out at some point. I've heard good things, so thank you for that. Yeah! Okay, Thomas McCollum back again says, I watched Clerks and Clerks 2 for the first time in years. I could have done without Jason Mewes' Buffalo Bill impersonation. I instantly thought of you. Yeah, I like it. I do like it. I don't mind it. I like Clerks 2. I like Clerks 2 until they get to the like the donkey show scene and at the end of the movie. I'm like, this just like, I get it. I like crazy humor like that, but it just didn't work for me. But outside of that, I like the movie. I like Clerks 1 much more. All right. It puts the lotion in the basket. Uranium Cranium says, A Quiet Place. Yeah, I agree. Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place, she made the movie. I think she stole the movie. Just like she stole the movie in Disclosure Day. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live show right there, but I do want to say thank you guys so much for joining me on this glorious Sunday night again to talk about movies and Disclosure Day. As always, if you guys are watching the replay, leave your thoughts, your opinions down below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to, you can give the video a like. It does help that stupid YouTube algorithm. So, you know, if you want to click the like, please click the like button, please. Thoughts on Supergirl, I'll let you know after I watch it. But before I go, don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. Let's look at this Supergirl cup. Let's look at this thing. I want to show you guys this Supergirl cup. We have to talk about this real quick. Okay, all right. This is a real thing. We need to talk about it. Now, that cup on the right is a real legitimate cup that you can buy for the Supergirl movie. Now, if you look closely at the jacket, which looks more like flesh-colored foreskin, if you ask me, that looks disgusting. This looks like a cup designed by Buffalo Bill. What were they thinking in the marketing department when they made this flesh-colored cape jacket that goes on the back of this cup? You didn't need the jacket. You didn't need it. You could have just put a little red cape on the back of this cup and that would have been cool. That looks more like a Superman cup. But this looks like a piece of old bologna that was doused in glue and hardened on the back of a cup. I don't want to drink out of this, nor do I want to touch it. It looks like I'm drinking out of a melted fleshlight. No, thank you. I'll look like a pervert in the cinema drinking out of this thing. But with all that said, I kind of want to buy it now. So what do you guys think about the Supergirl flush cup? Let me know down below. Am I excited to watch the movie? I will watch it. Do I have high expectations beyond it being slightly mediocre and instantly forgettable and with Jason Momoa as Lobo and maybe moments of mild entertainment? I think it'll give me those things, but I don't think it's going to be the superhero movie of the summer that stands the test of time by any means. So those are my thoughts on Supergirl and the flesh-colored cup. Let me know what you guys think down below. I think it's utterly disgusting, but once again, I think it's utterly disgusting. Like, you can't give a child this cup. There's no way, man. There's no way. You can't do that. That should be against the law. And what is it with popcorn buckets lately? It feels like they're getting lamer with every new movie, doesn't it? What happened to the cool ones that were coming out over the last couple of years? As always, guys, I'll wrap up the live show right there. I think we went too far. Adjustment Bureau, I did see it once. I don't remember much about it. Sort of a gloomy movie with Matt Damon and Emily Blunt, wasn't it? Yeah. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out for the last couple of hours. Have a good night. And hopefully you guys enjoy the week. I know I won't. As always, stay safe. I'll see you guys next Sunday at 8 o'clock for another live show. So look out for that. Take care. And if you missed it, go check out my review of Disclosure Day on the main channel, or wait for me to clip out this one where we talked about it in intimate detail. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.